Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.
Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. First off, I'd just like to say that you have another 24 hours to vote for both of my bands who have been nominated for Best Live Shanghai Band. You can go to our WeChat and you can also follow the link there. It really would mean a lot to us. And Jen's Curfew's next big show is Back to School on the 15th of September at Spectres. We hope to see you there. And on the night before, September the 14th, we have MKW Pro Wrestling. They have their live event, and it's going to feature our next guest. It's also going to be featuring Big Sam, Zombie Dragon, and Adrian Gomez, the CEO we've had on previously. So you can check those podcasts out. Today's guest, we have international pro wrestler Hu Hu Lin. Now, Hu Hu is the founder of Hong Kong Pro Wrestling. He made his in-ring debut on the 6th of June 2001. Now, he's currently living in Osaka, Japan, and he works as a wrestler and a commentator for Dragon Gate Pro Wrestling. He was trained by the Slam. He's gone on to wrestle in the Philippines, Singapore, England. He has also worked with NXT, which is the development for the WWE. And more recently, he has had matches on AEW. But before we go, please go to our website. We're at Podbean. Tell Craig Your Story at podbean.com. And we have a link tree there which tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services. We are on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We also have all the major social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Tell Craig Your Story. And we also have VK for our Russian listeners and WeChat and Little Redbox for our Chinese listeners. All right, here we go. This is my chat with Hu Hu Lin on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi, Hu Hu. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic, Craig. Thank you for having me tonight.
Not a worry. It's absolute pleasure. Over in Osaka at the moment, I've talked to a couple of your fellow employees or athletes before, and you actually have a big show coming up in Shanghai in September. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
That will be September 14th, Middle Kingdom Wrestling, MKW. It's been away from Shanghai for almost a year. I remember I was in the last show in Shanghai last June.
Yes.
Me and Zombie Dragon and Yoshitatsu, we were in a 6-man tag team match, which led to me and Zombie Dragon this September. Me and him will be challenging the MKW Tag Team Champion in Shanghai, September 14th.
And you're tagging with Zombie Dragon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've had a bit of a relationship with him, like wrestling-wise, throughout the years?
I actually know Zombie Dragon for very, very long time.
Yeah, right.
Probably since MKW started.
Right.
I was actually in MKW first show, which is in a gym in Dongguan. It's about 10 years ago. I can't remember the exact dates, but it was almost 10 years ago. So it started in a small gym, keep developing, where they have their base in Harbin.
Right.
And then every year they did big show in Shanghai and Shenzhen. And from time to time they have smaller events over the country.
Yeah, right. Actually, I can remember that show that you performed in last year. It was great. It was like the first one since the whole COVID lockdown. And if you watch the video, I'll be sitting there on the side there. It was a great show.
Yeah, remember that match? I actually not only wrestled in the ring, but like walk around for some outside brawl for a little bit. And you were right, that was actually the first match after returning. All the travel restriction has relieved, and then I started travel to China again, and that was actually June 2023.
Yeah,
my first time wrestling in China since the lockdown, and that was my first returning match, and that was MKW.
Right. And what was that feeling like coming back after such a bit of a? I think it was 3 years for you, if I read correctly, that you had a break.
Yes, it's 3 years. I started living in Japan 2019.
Right.
And then the first couple of months, I still able to travel around. Obviously, my family lived in Hong Kong and Guangzhou, so I travel around. And then there's a lockdown 2020, and that's 3.5 years, 4 years that I'm not allowed to travel to China, which, coming back to China 2023, it's refreshing. The moment I enter, I remember I didn't fly direct to Shanghai. I fly to Hong Kong first, spent a couple of days there in Hong Kong, then took the train, the overnight train to Shanghai.
Right.
I was thinking about taking the flight, but then the overnight train sounds more. I don't think we have that before COVID.
Right.
So I was like, let's try the overnight train. Yeah. There was an overnight train which was like 17 hours. That's the regular train. But then they have the high speed train, the bullet train with the sleeper on. So let's do that.
Why not?
Arrive at the morning of the show, check in the hotel, have a shower, then went straight to the venue. And I didn't feel like I've left.
Yeah.
It's the same people. Adrian was still there. Yeah. The people I wrestled 4 or 5 years ago, they were all there. There were the wrestlers from Singapore, from Malaysia as well. And then I didn't meet them for so long, and then we're able to meet in Shanghai. So it feels like I haven't left.
Yeah, like a family reunion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fans as well, I think they really liked it as well. Just getting out and being able to go and watch some live entertainment. Yeah, the wrestlers really put on a great show.
I remember that show before the show start, and actually after the show start, I was standing outside the door. I was sitting there by my merch table, greeting the fans. Yeah. There are fans that I haven't seen for so long, and they have been supporting wrestling in China for so long. Sometimes I don't remember their name, but when I see their face, there's a familiar face. I've seen you 4 years ago. I've seen you 6 years ago. I've seen you since the first time I wrestled in China.
Yeah. Wow.
So I sit there. I was like shaking hand with everyone, say hi to everyone until there's a counter lady, the venue lady, comes in and asks me, "Oh, do you work for MKW?" I was like, yeah. I was like, she thought I'm the door guy, ticketing guy. And then I get in, get changed, wrestle, and then come back to my table with all the sweat on my face. And then she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you wrestle." Didn't ask.
Wow.
But yeah, the fun thing about wrestling in China is that, meeting the fans who support me, and China wrestling for so long, and they are still there, and this is the thing that makes me want to come back all the time.
Yeah. And for those 3 or 4 years, what did you do? I mean, you're a professional athlete, so that's where your main income is, I'm assuming. So, how did that affect you in that time?
I actually lived in Japan because I mainly wrestled for this company in Japan called Dragon Gate. 2020, we've stopped all the wrestling for 4 or 5 months until during the 4 or 5 months we did some TV taping without fans in it, but it doesn't feel right until I remember that was June 2020, which we stopped for about 4 months, and then we start having fans coming in. But the fans, I still remember they got some sort of called social distancing rule, which the seats can't be right next to each other. You have to have a certain meter away from the other person. But that's how we started. And then 4 years later, we sell out venues in Osaka, Kobe, Tokyo, everywhere. And everything just picking back up now. Actually picked up already 2 years ago. During the 2 years, 2020 to 2021, 2022, fans came in. They are not allowed to chant. They have to wear the covering, and then they can't chant. The only thing they can do is clap their hands, but every time they clap their hand, they need to spray their hand with the alcohol.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I still remember that time. That's some crazy time with us. But things just get back now. Things are returning now in Japan, especially in Japan. The company that I work for called Dragon Gate, we basically run 16 shows a month, sometimes 14, but on average 16 shows a month. So it's basically every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, I didn't wrestle 16 times a month because we take a rotation and wrestle about 8 to 10 times. But I think being here in Japan is lucky enough for me because this is basically the only place, well, America as well, but there's some different restriction depending on which states you are. But in Japan, basically, this is the only country where there's still wrestling show consistently, working out. And I'm lucky enough I'm here. Yeah, I started in 2019 and that was just the right time. If I decided to start like 6 months later, I might not be here.
Yeah. And the lifestyle as well. I mean, living in Japan, how have you adapted to living there? Because visiting Osaka is an amazing place. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I've been there a couple of times now. How is it for you?
2019, at first, I was supposed to only come here for 3 months.
Right.
And then I extend for another 3 months. And then the second 3 months is where the COVID hit. So I stay here. At first I was here as a talent, a wrestler. Yes. It stopped, it restart again, and then the company find out that, well, they know that for a very long time, but I didn't get involved. I was a promoter in Hong Kong for 10 years in the past, since 2007.
We're going to get to that very soon.
I worked in the UK before, I worked in the America before. So I picked up a responsibility in the office where I become the talent relations person. Yes. Where when America company, when Southeast Asia company wants to book Japanese talents, then I am the connection. Right. So I picked up a backstage responsibility as well. Since then, that's why I'm here now. And this actually opened up a lot of other opportunity, which I did not expect. Other than that, I also because in the past we used to fly American commentary people, wrestling commentary over for our big pay-per-view. But then during the travel restriction, they can't come in and they asked me, do you want to take part in the commentary as well? I said yes. Oh. And then I also become a commentary person.
There you go.
So it's like a lot of other things happening around me other than being only in the ring. And this is actually something I enjoy most.
I mean, it's not every day you just pick up a microphone and just commentate. I mean, I've heard in the WWE when Vince McMahon was there that he would be in the ear telling them what to say. So how have you adapted to commentary?
At first, I really don't want to do it.
Yeah, right.
I really don't want to do it because obviously English is my second language. So every time if I want to say something, it goes through in my mind in Chinese and then it translates it into English.
Yes.
But a live commentary requires you to say things fast according to the screen, right? Yes. So sometimes when a wrestling move happened, it happened to me in Chinese in the head, and then the moment I translate it into English, it becomes the second move already.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So at the beginning, it was really tough for me. Although me and you now, speaking via English, but being a commentary is a totally different story. But after 2 years now, I mean, I feel quite confident now.
Yeah.
And then the good thing about it is I'm commentating the oncoming Dragon Gate, which I basically watch 10 times a month.
Right.
I can expect. Yeah, I already know what's going on with who and who using what move, kind of things like this. So.
When you do commentate, it's something that I'm always interested to know. Do you know the outcome, or do you want to watch it and then speak about it live?
I do not know the outcome.
Oh, good.
That's why sometimes for me it's a surprise when a surprising wins happen.
Yes.
That is actually better.
Yeah, I agree. And it gets your raw emotional feeling. Yeah. But wanted to talk about the Japanese crowd as well. I mean, they've always had a good reputation of being very hardcore with their wrestling. New Japan has been popular for such a long time. So what is it about the Japanese fans?
When you compare it to WWE fans, when you compare it to America fans,
yes,
as a whole, this April I was in America. This April, wrestling there for a week, and then we draw the same amount, 700 people, 1,000 people.
Yeah, right.
But then 1,000 people in Japan is basically less loud, but more quiet than the 1,000 people in America. Yeah. America, they chant for everything. They boo for everything. Right. They are very into the thing happening in the ring, and they are very into the wrestler that they support. And sometimes, if there's athletes who come in that they don't know, they still boo and chant, whatever, reacting them in the ring. Yeah. In Japan, people are more calm here in Japan when they watch wrestling. They clap hands when they see really good athletic action. They will chant in a way that very unified, If the person sitting next to me doesn't chant, I don't chant. And they don't shout crazy things like the American is, Sometimes the people at the back of the hall, they will shout, "You shut up," to the ring, and then the whole arena, they hear it. But in Japan, they don't do that. They keep a lot of emotion in the mind until there's one match that touched them. So when you watch Japanese wrestling and you see the crowd is hot, that means the match is very, very good.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I had a similar opinion. I saw Queen play in Osaka in February. Amazing show. But they were so respectful. They would listen to the song, and then they would cheer and clap, and then it would be dead silent. And I coughed, and it echoed through the arena. I was just absolutely shocked. Just every song was just the same way. They're very knowledgeable and they're very respectful.
Yeah, wrestling is the same. Sometimes when there's an important match that's happening, there's no sound. There's library, but there's 1,000 people there. But it sounds like a library until they lock up, then start doing chops and
Oh yeah.
punch and everything, and then they say, "Whoa, yeah." Things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when we, compare the wrestling fans in China, let's talk about China.
Yes.
It's also more fun, especially for me because I speak both Cantonese and Mandarin. When I wrestle in Guangdong area and Hong Kong area, it actually echo with the fans, there's a lot of dirty words in Cantonese. There's more dirty words in Cantonese than in Mandarin.
Yes.
And then, we have a lot of slangs there that actually designed just for us Cantonese people. And then it's so fun to wrestle in Canton, in Guangdong area, Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Macau,
Yes.
Shanghai as well. But thinking about the MKW crowd, actually half of them doesn't speak Chinese.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of English-speaking people living in Shanghai who always come to enjoy the show. But then, when I say something in Chinese, they react. So Chinese wrestling fans, I think they watch more WWE than watch more Japanese wrestling.
Yes.
And people in China, they are more expressive to their emotion. So I think they are more tend to the American crowd where if you say something in Chinese that touch them, they love you straight away.
Yes. But exactly the opposite. If you say something bad about the country, or they will boo you. I went to the Guangzhou one as well a couple of months ago, MKW. Yeah. That was very similar. They've got some really hardcore fans that want to cheer the good guy and then really boo and do everything that they can to have the good guy win. So, but you need those fans. That's what gets the crowd going and motivates the wrestlers. So let's go back into your career, actually where you started. So you were born in Hong Kong, right?
I did.
Yeah. So tell us about growing up there. Were your mum and your father involved in any sort of entertainment or wrestling?
There's no wrestling in China at all.
Yeah, right.
Back 20 years ago. But then I have cable TV at home where I can watch New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right.
And then that was when I was about 7, 8 years old.
Yes.
And then there's also a TV channel that air WCW.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Back in the day, 1994, 1995, where WCW and New Japan Pro Wrestling worked together all the time. It just aroused my interest when I see the same wrestler appear in my Japanese channel and appear in my Chinese channel. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy, I saw him on the other channel.
Yeah.
That was the period where, Great Muta, Jushin Thunder Liger, Sting, Hulk Hogan,
yes.
There's also a point where Dennis Rodman was there. The NBA guy was.
So it was like the NWO, right? That was
that was where I started watching, and then I watched it from there, and then I asked my mom, "Do you want to bring me to a wrestling school?" Because I wanted to be them. My mom said yes.
Oh, really? That's great.
Brought me to a class, a neighborhood community center. Sign up for a class. Start learning all the bumping and things. I was like, this is not a wrestling ring. This is just a crash pad and thing. And then I finally find out that was judo.
Oh, right.
Then I learned judo for a few years, but it actually gave me the fundamental of, the wrestling, because being slammed, how to get slammed and, not get hurt, that's the same technique.
Speaking of slam, your trainer, I do believe, was the Slam.
The Slam, the Slam. Well, the Slam is a person, right? Not the Slam.
Yes, Slam. That's right.
His ring name is the Slam, and he is the godfather of China Pro Wrestling. Yes. And he will actually be in Shanghai, September 14th. I met Slam on 2005, 2006. I cannot remember. He was an exchange student in Korea, not wrestling student, like high school student, like kind of student. He was a wrestling fan growing up, and then on the weekend he trained in the Korea, wrestling school.
Wow.
He come back to China and find out there's no wrestling in China. He didn't go to a judo class like I did, but he built a wrestling ring on his rooftop.
Right.
And then he called himself CWE China Wrestling Entertainment. The first 6 months, I think the only wrestler over there was him and his 2 other cousins.
Right. So it took a little while. Business was a little slow, right? So
It got a little slow until
yeah.
I don't know if you know that app called QQ.
Yes.
So that app actually exists 20 years ago, 2004, 2005. He put his, photos and, videos on his queue. And I was like, oh, let me message this guy. This looks fun.
Yeah.
At least it's not a judo class. Message him. And he said, oh, just come. I'll pick you up at the bus station.
Wow.
All right. That's straightforward.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. So luckily he's not far away from Hong Kong. But that time there's no bullet train in China. There's still all the, 20 years ago, Guangdong, all the places are dig up just to, build all the high-speed train.
Yeah.
I took a bus, which go through all the country road, which 2 hours later I was there in a bus terminal. Well, bus terminal is not a bus terminal. It's just a street bus stop with a sign, like broken down sign. I was there. I called him. I was like, okay, I'm here. He come in a motorcycle. Vroom, 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 vroom. Not the small, scooter where you see all the, wet market auntie, not the scooter. It's a really nice motorcycle. You come in, oh, you're a whole loon, right? I come in, sit behind him, holding his shoulder like this. It's the first time I am on a motorcycle. It's scary. It's so scary. Come to his house and there's all the scaffold which built by bamboo.
Yeah.
Those kind of scaffold
Yeah.
on his rooftop, and then there's a wrestling ring there. That's how I started.
Wow.
2004. And then from since then I traveled there on and off, on weekend. I was still a uni student at that time, so I travel on and off, over the weekend and learn slam from the slam.
Yeah, that's right. And I read that you would travel from Hong Kong to Guangzhou every week, once a week, back and forth.
Once a week. Sometimes if it's really busy, I'll skip 1 week, but I will go in the other week.
Yeah, right. But you can tell straight away that obviously that was a passion for you at a very early age.
It's actually not that bad. It's only 2 hours away, My house in Hong Kong is quite near to the checkpoint, so it's 2 train stops to the checkpoint and then 1 bus ride. But then the bus ride was really, is a horrible ride.
So what were the main things that the slam, or what you got out of learning from him?
I remember the first day after getting slammed by the slam. I woke up the next morning, my neck, I feel like my neck was like this big. But then obviously it's not. But then the sore, the neck, it's that pain. I was in a judo class for 3 years. I didn't feel that. But then getting slammed in the wrestling ring is a totally different story.
Yes.
Bam, 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 bam. I was like, oh, wow. I feel headache and my neck feel like this, and but I still, travel on and off. And then until there's one day I got slammed, next morning I wake up, I feel okay, and that's the moment I know I should be doing this for, not forever. I mean, at that point I still feel like, okay, let's keep on doing this until I can't.
Yeah. So you had your judo when you were a kid, and then now you're getting professionally trained. So now you've got this good mix of karate and wrestling as well. So that developed all the way through your career, right?
Yeah, and then in 2007, I feel like I traveled enough to Dongguan. So if Slam can build a ring on his rooftop, maybe I could.
You can do it.
So I try to buy a wrestling ring in Hong Kong and put it in a warehouse. There's a warehouse building in Hong Kong where I ran it, and then I put a wrestling ring there. But there's no wrestling ring supplier, obviously. I went approached to a boxing ring supplier.
Yeah.
He said he could do it. that time, 2007, I was a kid. I was not a kid, but I just graduated from high school. I don't know I don't know anything happening in the real world, you know.
Yeah.
So when he said yes, I was like, okay. I take the ring. I said, this is not bouncy, man.
Yeah.
This is not as bouncy as the slam ring.
Yeah.
So I can fix it for you. He put a ring like this big in the center and give it like 1 millimeter of spring. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll eat that. Next morning, second day of the training in Hong Kong, my neck feels this again.
Yeah, back to that. back to the sore neck again. But
but it's a good thing then we use that warehouse for another 2 years. It's a harder ring, but then it actually gives me more fundamental that give me more motivation to train harder, which I get slammed in a harder ring that I still can take it. It's actually good, you know. And then we start building it. We start doing show in our warehouse. First show was 50 people until the last show that I produced, 2019. 3 days straight, 300 people come in, so 900 people in total.
That's fair. And it's saying here that you made your wrestling debut on the 6th of June 2009. Yes.
So we start that warehouse, 2007. We train ourselves. I recruit 10, 20 of them. A lot of people gave up because they don't want to take the pain and it's not something they expected.
Sorry, did you start training people yourself at that stage?
I did.
Right.
I did.
Yeah.
And then 2009, we feel like, we have about 10 guys who might possibly, wrestle in a real match.
Sorry, who are some of the guys in that?
They were still wrestling today. Which my opponent that time was the Ladybeard.
Oh yes.
Still really active right now, but he's more into the music side of his career. He's living in Japan as well, but occasionally I think he wrestled for this promotion called DDT. But now he's more into the music career. That's why he didn't touch wrestling a lot. The other guy, Jason Lee.
Jason Lee, yeah.
He's also in Dragon Gate. He actually came Dragon Gate first. He came Dragon Gate 2017, and he's already multiple time champion here in Japan.
Amazing.
Men Brothers, they started with us on day one. They don't wrestling as often now, but they still do, wrestling a lot in Hong Kong, in China as well. I think they were in some of the shows in Guangzhou. And this guy called Beatman, he also started with us since day one, and he is the promoter in Hong Kong now. I actually gave him more my responsibility like 2 years ago because I feel like I live in Japan now. I can't control the stuff in Hong Kong. You know what I mean?
You're the
there's also some new,
now.
There's also some new guy who came in. I don't know who they are. I went there wrestling in Hong Kong. There's some hi. You wrestle in Hong Kong? Yeah. Oh, okay. I haven't met you before. I didn't know you exist, but. Yeah, so Bitman now responsible for Hong Kong wrestling. And, a lot of people, when we first start 2009, they are still here. And if they give up, they give up already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 2009, yeah. And then 2010, the rent goes up on that warehouse. I don't want to do it. If they're raising the rents, then why don't I use that money to travel myself, to fly myself to UK, for example, to see what the real world is. Because what I've seen was Slam's ring on his rooftop and my ring, which I thought that's the right way to train people.
Yes.
I haven't seen the real world yet. So I took this chance to fly myself to the UK, train there. There's a promotion called 4FW. They are actually one of the top wrestling promotion there in the UK. They rename it now. They were called British Kingdom Wrestling nowadays. So the first training session I was there, I was so nervous. But then after 3 hours of training, I was like, okay, I think I was good. 80% of the moves that I trained myself and, Slam trained me was me and the British guy, we go one round. Okay. I feel comfortable doing this.
But was your style good for that English pro wrestling?
No, I was very skinny. I was more skinny than now I do. I'm like 75 kilos now. But
Right.
back then I was like 61 or something.
Right.
I was just a set of bone covered in skin.
Yeah.
I got no meat.
So what was the difference there, and what were you learning? What did you learn there? Because I'm assuming that it would be tough over there as well. I mean, the training.
It does. And then they are more heavyweight wrestler.
Oh,
in
right.
Hong Kong, we are a bunch of, skinny guys. The biggest guy there is like Ladybeard.
Right.
He's the guy that I train him.
Right.
So I also like, okay. But then when I traveled to the UK for the first time, there were like real heavyweight wrestler, 100 kilo, get punched, get shoulder tackle from them. I was like, boom, get hit by a car.
Were they harsh on the younger, like the up and comers? Because normally the older wrestlers, they like to get into the younger wrestlers.
Luckily, they were all really friendly to me.
Okay.
Although I don't speak a lot of English, and then I come in like a skinny kid, and then they still like being very friendly. So I trained there for like 9 months. 2011, 2010, and then on and off I went back again 2013. And then I start getting more booking, book for shows, not only locally in Birmingham, but, London, Manchester, Leeds, where else? Swindon, Bristol, all the places.
Because the English fans, they seem to be really passionate as well, because they don't get to see it as much. I mean, if it's WWE, but when they do, and AEW, when they come, they've been getting massive, massive crowds.
Yeah, but when we go to like smaller towns, although we do show in front of like 300-400 people, the kids come in, they're really happy to see me. It was a fun experience. And then going to the UK was actually changed my mind, when I see things happening in the real world. When the UK promoter also brings in ex-WWE wrestlers. They bring in wrestlers from Japan, and the professionalism. Wrestling is something that you train physically, of course. Yeah. But then when you see things, the things happening in the real world, it changes your mind as well. And I was a promoter in Hong Kong. Being a promoter, you have to think more than just the 15 minutes in the ring. You have to think about the 2 hours of the show as a whole. You have to think about the 2 months before the show, how you're going to sell it.
Yes.
Sometimes when the fans doesn't show up, you're more nervous than facing a 500-pound guy.
That's right. Yes.
So it prepared me, a lot of things, not only as a in-ring performer, but also, handling different things.
How do you prepare for something like that, where you're the booker, so you're in charge of all the ticket sales, you're in charge of the wrestlers, you're in charge of the hotels, everything, the marketing, the sales,
It's a lot.
And then you've got to go out and wrestle as well. Are you able to switch very quickly from wrestling athlete to promoter?
At this point in my career, wrestling in a match, it is the last thing that I worry about.
Yeah, right.
I should worry about, what if the music doesn't work? What if the lighting doesn't work?
Yes.
What if I can't get the money from the ticketing system? Wrestling is the last thing that I worry about. Because in wrestling, every time it's the same move, and, every time you treat the fans as first time they come into the to see you. And they don't mind seeing you doing the same move. They come because they expect to see you do the same move. Okay, once a while, you do some special move for a treat. It's like you watch band show a lot of time. The same band singing the same song for 20 years and you still go.
Yes.
Same thing to wrestling.
Yeah.
You do the same move for 20 years, they will still come to watch. And the critical thing is you have to do this move 100%, 120%. Next time they come in, you have to put 200% doing that move. Yeah. But then, this is the thing that attracts them to come in. it's like watching band show. You watch a lot of band show, you should understand what I say.
So true, but Hulk Hogan, for example, was doing the same kick to the face and then the leg drop he did it for 30 years and they still come back and they still was selling out arenas all over the world. So
it sounds weird when I say this, but this is actually, what makes the fans happy. We're not doing this for a big crowd. We are doing this we always do this, especially in China, always a smaller crowd, 300, 500, at max 800. So people who come in, actually, you know them all the time. And then there's some newer guys, new wrestlers. They thought, being that 15 minutes in the ring is a big thing. So what they did, hiding backstage and just prepare for this match, which I think at this stage of China wrestling, it wouldn't help you build your, personality, build your brand, build your Ho Ho Lun brand, build your whoever you are brand.
Yeah.
But then, if you spend 1 hour of the time, like I said, last year in Shanghai, I stand there until the lady thought I am a staff member. You have to stand outside, you remember everyone who comes in, you build a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Wrestling is not an established sports in China yet, so you can't expect them just posting, 2 cool move on TikTok and they will come. They won't. Yeah. Well, they might come one time and then they don't come forever because you don't want to build that relationship. I want to build that relationship. So, the move that I do, I make it perfect. I treat the fans with respect, treat them like a good friend. Well, they are a good friend of mine because they support me for a long time, Yeah, this is a lot of things. Wrestling is the last thing that I worry about. The thing that I worry about is, how to build a relationship with the fans and make sure the show doesn't go wrong, the music, the lighting, the production, and the ticketing, all the things.
Yeah. And if people go home with a smile on their face, you've done your job.
This is the most important thing, They go back and talk about it.
Yes.
We have all the social media now. They talk about it on WeChat, talk about it on Twitter.
Yes.
That makes me happy and makes them happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you prefer doing that? Do you prefer being a heel when you wrestle?
I actually don't mind. I enjoy doing both.
Yeah?
I enjoy doing both. I do that because...
What's more easier then, being a babyface or a heel?
It's a different
totally
skill
different.
set.
Yeah.
But being a heel, right, you always have your partner down there in ringside helping you.
Yeah.
So physically being in the ring, where you have some partner in the outside doing dirty job for you, and throw your opponent back to the ring, and he's already exhausted, and you're still, 100%. So being a heel is actually physically easier.
Yeah, right.
Because it's always like 5-on-1, 6-on-1.
And it looks like more fun. I mean, people get to cheer the good guy or the baby face. I think I would prefer to be a heel as well.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like so much more fun talking to the fans and then cheating all the time. It just looks like so much fun. So you've wrestled so many different places like Taiwan. You've wrestled in Manila, Singapore, I do believe as well. I just want to briefly talk about your stint with WWE. I interviewed Zita Zhang as well, and she was a part of that era as well. Maybe a little bit later on, but tell us about how that all come about and why you were in NXT. Was it Shawn Michaels that was training you, or?
2016, there's this tournament called Cruiserweight Classic. The idea of this tournament is to have 32 of the competitors, cruiserweight, obviously, to come in Orlando, Florida, to do this tournament. So I'm part of the China representative, Hong Kong representative. Wrestled them round 1. I won round 2, I lost. I was about to go home, and I remember that was William Regal.
Oh, wow.
And the head coach of NXT called
Matt
Loom. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to stay here in NXT to train a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah, obviously."
Oh yeah.
So they gave me that NXT contract. I stayed there since then. 2017, it's where Zeta Dang come in, and they signed also 6, 7 other Chinese talents.
That's amazing.
They're basically a tryout happening in Shanghai in 2016, which I also part of it. And then they signed 7 of them on the spot. They didn't sign me that time because I only scheduled to do the tournament. Did the tournament and they also offered me a contract. So the 7 of them come in later because obviously China passport, they require more paperwork to do when they come to America. So they came in 2017 and I was the only person who spoke English and Chinese at the same time. So they also asked me if I wanted to take part in things outside the ring to, help them settle in America. Yeah. Lucky enough, that's also my first, I only stayed in America for 4 months until 4 months before they came, and then I only stayed in America I only spent 4 months in America, and then they asked me to help them settle. I'm struggling settling myself. But then I did that, obviously. I stayed there for another 8 months, I think, August 2017. I made that decision to quit my job in WWE. There's a lot of things happening with my family. My mom, she doesn't feel really well, body condition. So, and at the same time, exactly the same time, there's a job in Macau, a casino complex. Oh. That trying to offer me a producer job to, run wrestling shows in a casino complex. So it's like, okay, my mom's not well. And there's another job there that pay me the same. Should I do this or should I don't do this? And I decided to move to Macau, which is only 1 hour away from Hong Kong. Yeah. And then I can do both, take care of my mom at the same time, having a new job. And when I quit...
Extreme Wrestling in Macau? Right?
Extreme Wrestling in Macau was the second project. The first project is Macau MWA, Macau Wrestling Association. We did this wrestling show in Golden Dragon Casino for every day. Every day we have about 10 other guys coming from Mexico, and I call 3 other guys from Hong Kong and China to come in and help me. And then we do shows every day. Sometimes ticket sale wasn't good. Sometimes it was as bad as like 6 people.
Wow.
And we still have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's an everyday show. It's when you go to casino, there's just shows happen every day over there. And then there's so many casinos in Macau. I don't know if you've been to Macau before now.
Yeah. You fly into the airport and you can see the casinos from the airport.
Yeah, you can see the strip, the Las Vegas strip already. There's so many casinos, so many shows going on. So I moved back to Macau, right? And then took me about 6 months to do all the pre-season, pre-show work.
Yeah.
Did the show for 6 months, and then there's a 6-month contract with the casino complex. So we did that show for 6 months, and then we took another project, which we do show every day in a New Year carnival in Henan. Yeah. Henan, not Henan, Hebei. I can't remember Henan or Hebei. Then we do like 2 weeks. Is a New Year parade or something. Yeah. We show there for 2 weeks, come back, and then there's the extreme Macau wrestling that you mentioned. There's only a one-off show, but that show was massive. Yeah. We did that in a casino theater called Broadway. We drew like 3,000 people that show, and the online streaming viewers was almost 1 million.
Wow. Incredible.
I was the producer. I was a proud producer. And then that show I was actually working with the top sports director in China, in Beijing.
Wow.
So that was an amazing experience,
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to WWE. I mean, I saw some of the matches that you had, and they're still wrestling in the WWE. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa.
Yep.
So yeah, what does that mean to you that both of those are still, in WWE, wrestling 3 or 4 times a week, and you got a chance to, train with them and wrestle against them?
Yeah, actually not only them. There's a lot of other guys who
I'm sure you would.
Well,
Yeah.
There's some untelevised untelevised wrestling show. Wrestle like 4 or 5 times a month, and then we train every day in the performance center. A lot of them are still working there in WWE. I mean, WWE is every wrestler's dream job.
Yes.
And I'm stupid enough to quit that job.
But you had your reasons, and I can
Yes,
understand.
I had my reason.
Yes.
Yeah, we still keep contact all the time. The coaches there in WWE as well. That's why I was called when they did the second tryout in 2019 in Shanghai. 2019 was almost the best year in wrestling in China. So WWE did a trial in Shanghai, called me up, and we tried to discuss possibility to expand WWE in China. We have that discussion, but then 6 months later, there's the lockdown.
Yes.
Which
I was
a
there.
lot of things happened, yeah.
It was SmackDown, right? They had a SmackDown show in Shanghai.
That was when was that? That was 2018 or something. I couldn't remember. There was a tryout where they have another 30 athletes in China.
Right.
And then they also call up athletes from Japan and Singapore to come in here to Shanghai for the tryout. And I was there like 4 days. The tryout was like wearing my suit and everything. I was in my suit and stand at the back, and once it finished, we discussed what's the expansion plan and how we can do that, and it didn't happen at the end. But
I wanted to ask about that tryout. It's very interesting because I was following an Australian promotion in Sydney. They did the same thing when they come to Australia. They had the tryouts, and all the indie wrestlers got an opportunity, and all the big guys turned up, and apparently all they were looking for was someone that could, make a hold, and just work on just the arm or just the leg.
When I did the trial, that was 2016, and there were like 30, 40 athletes who come in. And the only person that have wrestling experience was me, Jason Lee, Bitman, probably the 3 of us.
Right.
The rest of the other 37 guys were athletes from different background. Boxing, bodybuilding, CrossFit, even got volleyball or something.
Right, yeah.
So when you talk about just work the arm, they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that trial that I was more on the physical part, like doing all the running, the squat, the push-up, the box jump, and learn, and more importantly, the other athlete learn how to do the basic wrestling rolling, see how quick they pick up the things. Obviously, I picked that up already, but there's 37 guys who didn't know how to do that. So for me, and I was lucky enough, that was an easy stuff for me because I've already learned this for 10 years at that point. 2019 was a little bit different. 2019, there were half of them were athletes with different backgrounds.
Right.
But the other half were indie wrestler in China, Singapore, and Japan, and Thailand. Oh, there's 2 from Malaysia as well, Philippines. So the 2019 tryout was more wrestling related.
Right.
But I don't remember they do a body part thing, but it's more wrestling things that went on over there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's either way, that's amazing achievement, getting to that top level and getting to experience that, and then also to be a leader while you're over there for the Chinese people, the Chinese athletes. I mean, that's an amazing achievement. Well done. What I wanted to touch on also, that you participated in AEW as well a couple of years back.
Yes, I did. That was 2001.
21?
It was between 2001 and 2002. 2021.
That's it, yeah.
I was a kid, 2001. What am I talking about? Yeah, 2021, 2022. I took 4 months off from Dragon Gate in Japan and fly myself to America. 2021. Why? Because there's all the lockdown, the no chanting shit, the clap hand. I was like, I'm so bored. I want to hear the craziness.
Yes.
And I know that's only happened in America. So I fly myself to America. Didn't tell anyone. I took the time off from the office. Obviously, I told them, but then I didn't tell anyone. It's just very an impulse decision, I would say. But then they're lucky enough to give me that 3 months off. Fly myself to America. I didn't tell anyone yet. I think I buy a ticket and then for 2 weeks later and then I fly out. I think. Stay in my friend's place. His name is Trexus. He's Dante Chen in NXT now. And he's actually the one who got picked on the 2019 tryout.
All right.
And I have known him for so many years. 2012, since I first wrestled in Singapore, he's almost my second opponent in Singapore. We know each other for a long time, so he's okay. I said, I just need a couch. Give me a couch and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And then, I stayed there for like 3 months, and then I only start approaching promoters when I get there. And lucky enough, AEW did. So I stay in Florida, Orlando, Florida, and AEW happens to have a show there in Jacksonville, Florida, which is about 2 hours away from me. So, they said, you want to come in and be a standby?
Yeah, right.
Standby? Okay.
Have your gear ready if someone gets hurt.
Yeah, and then put my suit back on, wear a tie, get in.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what happening to me. I said, you know what's happening? No, I don't know. There was noontime when I reached there. Until nighttime, and then they decided what happened, and then they put me in a match against what's that? Sammy
Guevara.
So yes, we did that match. I didn't expect to have a match basically, but we did that, and then we did that match, and then the thing that surprised me on that night, I didn't have a ring entrance because I'm a standby guy. I'm an extra guy.
Right.
So the main guy, Sammy, he got his entrance. So during his entrance, I walk in from the other side of the camera, and I stand in the ring waiting. And while I stand in the ring and while he's doing his entrance, his fans recognize me. I was like, really?
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah. I saw you 3 years ago.
Wow.
3 years. That's 5 years ago, bro.
But did you have to talk it over with Sammy Guevara as to what you were going to do, or how was it going to work out, or did you just go in there and call it in the ring?
We only know that's happening like 30 minutes before.
Oh, wow.
It happens.
Wow, yeah, right.
So obviously we talk a bit, and then there's a producer who gives us instruction of what to do over there. We did the match. It's not a long match because obviously this is not a main match that's happening there. Again, I'm an extra.
So you got your moves in, or
I got a couple of moves in, and he got a few moves in. He killed me, and
fans were happy.
Yeah. But the only things that make me happy was fans there in Florida. They still remember me.
That's so cool.
That's the good thing that take away, other than being up here in AEW. But I mean, if there's a chance, always a chance.
Yeah, and it also says here that we skipped over it a bit, but it was saying that you've been the champion of the Hong Kong Federation as well. That's correct? Yeah.
Hong Kong, Guangzhou, King of Wrestling, and then I was also one-time champion of the Manila Wrestling Federation.
What was it like in Manila? I mean, it's a beautiful place to visit, but did you live there or you fly in, fly out?
At that time, I remember I lived in Macau. It's only 1.5 hour fly, and it's super cheap, and it's like 500 renminbi. I can get a return flight. It's that cheap.
Yes.
MWF, Manila Wrestling Federation, they were a new wrestling company. And, I am producer, so I always want to reach out to, people in the region. So I was like, yeah, let me come down and, we'll do some training and I'll do a match for you. And I said, yeah, why not? They worked that out, and then for some reason they put me in I become champion. And my character in Manila is a total heel. I'm the worst bad guy in Manila, I think. There's one point where I was a heel. I cut a promo, and the promoter said, "We need to escort you out. The fans gonna beat you out."
Wow.
No way.
Does that still happen? Like, I didn't think that happened anymore.
Or maybe I really say something really bad. I say some, racist stuff, and
Yeah. Wow.
That's what a heel's supposed to say,
That's right. That's right.
I'm the racist Chinese guy there, and
You did your job then, if you're a heel,
yeah. But was happy, fans there. They were very supportive.
Yeah.
And all the fans there grow up watching WWE. So they were very into the wrestling.
That's awesome. And
a lot of them know me because they've watched the WWE, the Cruiserweight Classic, and then they know me. And then, I come in, I cut the heel promo. They don't like me at that point, but then next time I come back, they say, "Oh, I love you." Okay.
Yeah,
I hate you. That's what I reply to them. And
That's awesome. All
right.
You are a heel. Come on, I can tell. I can tell that.
I hate you. Why are you laughing when I say I hate you?
All right, let's get close to wrapping it up. So, what is the future for Huhulu? Lin?
Obviously, I will do this September 14th in Shanghai MKW.
Yes.
Then plan October, we'll stay in Japan all the time. October probably is scheduled to have like 16 shows in Japan. So I probably wrestle like 8 times, 10 times over here. November, I think I'm doing Singapore, Malaysia, and then wherever I still, lining up my stuff. If not, I'm coming back to Japan because November is also a busy month here. It's like 17 shows in November.
What advice would you give to up-and-coming wrestlers in Hong Kong and in the world, actually, that want to start?
For those who want to start wrestling in China, China is still a new market of wrestling. I mean, try to find ways to go out and see the real world. You may be a champion here in China, but then, it's still a developing place, and you still need to see a real world. So go out, find opportunity. If you're in America, if you're in Japan, you're ready in a really good place, but try to search for the top. Always go to the top and find opportunity. When the top fails, then goes to the second top, then come deep down. Don't start things easy. A lot of people want to start it easy and go to the easiest place that go in. Go into shows where you only perform for 30 people. Okay, but that will be your last option if you got rejected 25 times.
Yeah. But I just see, like, with the indie wrestling now, it's getting so dangerous. Like, people are, I don't know if they're not getting trained properly but yeah, I just see all these things online where they're doing all these flips and they're hitting the back of their neck and they're landing on their head. What do you say to that when you see that?
There's a lot of things combined, Obviously, there's fans demand who love to see this kind of things, but promoter, producer himself also have the responsibility to, give more direct instruction of what you can do and what you cannot do. And a good producer should be able to learn about their talents, what they can do and what they cannot do before you book them.
Yes.
So if someone say, I want to do this flip, and you didn't know whether he can do it or not, then better not.
Yeah.
It's not like someone said, okay, I can do this flip, and it land to his neck, and then you also have a problem.
Yeah.
So a promoter also have a problem, but then there's also people who have a lot of confidence, which is good, but then you have to know where your limit is, and keep practicing. If you want to do this flip, do this 100 times perfectly during training, and then do it on a real match. Because in a real match, there's fans there. There's a lot of emotion happening there. You might have a long travel day before you head there in the ring. So make sure if you want to do a spot, if you do want to do a move that is not going to be easy, make sure you do this 100 times perfectly during training until you want to do it in the ring, in a match.
So that's great advice. What's your social medias? Where can our fans and our listeners find you online?
I'm on Twitter, what they call it X now. I've got X and Instagram, and they are both HoHoLun 719, HoHoLun 719, which is obviously my birthday.
Awesome. And do you want to do a quick message to the Chinese fans, or actually the world? You've traveled to so many places. Do you want to?
9月14号，如果你们都在上海的话，记得过来看 MKW 决战上海滩。
Awesome. All right, now to finish off, some quick questions, and give me your top 2 or 3 favorite things of all time. So as of today, who are your top 2 or 3 favorite music or artists?
I grew up listening to Chinese music all the time, so it's always Tam Yonglin, Zhang Xueyou, Alan Tam, Jackie Chan. And recently I enjoy listening to Xue Zhichen.
Interesting. What's the top 3 favorite ring music, like for a wrestler?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, of course.
The
glass
sound.
Yes.
Undertaker when he comes in on a motorcycle. And Val Venus.
Oh, hello, ladies.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And speaking of wrestling, when you were growing up, you watched, you said WCW, WWF. So who were your top 2 or 3 favorite wrestlers growing up?
Great Muta, In America, I watched The Rock a lot.
And 2 or 3 upcoming wrestlers that we should be looking out for.
If you're talking about wrestling in China, Wang Tao is pretty good. He wrestled in MKW a few times.
Right. Who's your greatest inspiration / hero and why?
The Slam. If it's not the Slam, I'm not sitting here talking to you today.
That's right, yeah. So what does he mean to you?
There's no wrestling in China. And I would never think of setting up a wrestling ring there and, just train myself. But then if Slam can do it, I think I can do it. And he gave me that courage to, build a ring in a warehouse and start training people that doing move and do all that and have a wrestling promotion and eventually give me that opportunity to wrestle in WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. You've had an amazing career and it's only going to get better. You've done everything. You just got a little bit, you've got something in commentating, in backstage, in the ring, outside the ring, with the fans. I wish you all the best for the future. Can't wait to catch up with you in Shanghai in a couple of weeks.
Yes, see you then in Shanghai.
Yes, and maybe in Japan in the future.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Go catch up some sushi. We go eat some sushi, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, folks, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. This weekend's grand opening of Parlay Restaurants and Sports, located in Jing'an, Shangkang-Li. Your new favorite spot for barbecue, burgers, and so much more. Come out to watch all your favorite sporting events. Enjoy brunches weekends starting at 11 on our terrace. Test your skill at darts, pool, and Golden Tee, an icon bar classic. 9 beers on draft, the freshest barbecue cooked daily, and so much more. This Saturday starting at 5 p.m., followed by our first brunch Sunday at 11. Parlay, we have you covered from kickoff to last call.